The temporal sanctuary was complete, but it was not the serene, stable refuge I had envisioned. Its walls were not solid, but a shimmering, constantly shifting field of folded time, a protective skin of reality bent to my will. The air within felt subtly off, as if every moment was a hair's breadth from unmaking itself. The hum of the temporal engine was a low, constant vibration that resonated in my very bones, a physical manifestation of the impossible state of being I had willed into existence. I was safe from physical attack, a fortress built in the pocket of reality where Arden's laws held no sway. But peace was a distant memory. My new home was a place of profound tension, a king's court in a besieged castle, and the walls were made of thought and will. I was safe, but I was also completely trapped. And I knew, with a chilling certainty, that they were not waiting, they were probing. My internal state was a precarious mix of triumph and profound paranoia. My consciousness, frayed from the effort of building the sanctuary, was stretched thin, a constant watchman over three conflicting forces: the unstable temporal field, the chaotic energies of the core, and the methodical harmony of the Syndicate's harmonizing beacon. They could not reach me, but I knew that Alyssin, my intellectual equal and philosophical opposite, was out there, a cold, clinical intellect, a mind not unlike my own, studying me. Her mind was a scalpel, not a hammer. She would not try to break my sanctuary. She would try to understand it, find its weakness, its single, elegant flaw that she could unravel with a precise, devastating frequency. She saw me not as a rogue element to be contained, but a fascinating puzzle to be solved, and that was a far more terrifying prospect. Silent Duel began not with a bang, but with a whisper. I felt it first on the edges of my chi sensors, a subtle harmonic frequency, a tiny, precise wave of harmony sent toward my sanctuary. It was not an attack. It was a question, an intellectual probe. It was designed to do nothing more than touch the surface of my temporal field, to gather data on its energetic signature, its composition, its every minute flaw. I watched its path on my main console, a slender line of blue light navigating the chaos of the core with a chilling precision. It was a testament to her genius. She was not fighting the chaos, but using the chaos to hide her probe, a needle in a haystack of shattered reality. Her intent, as I perceived it, was a mixture of detached curiosity and profound confidence. She believed her method, her approach of quiet, intellectual force, was an elegant solution to the problem of my dissonance. My response was not a counter-attack, but a calculated intellectual maneuver. I let the probe come close, its harmonious frequency a jarring, dissonant note against the core's chaotic symphony. I studied it, reverse engineering its purpose and design, understanding its every vector. It was a flawless piece of work, a mind-based tool that mirrored the elegant cruelty of its creator. I would not give her the answer she sought. I would give her 100 answers, each one a lie. I used the core's chaotic energy in the temporal engine to create a complex, multi-layered filter of false information. It was a dynamic veil of meaningless data and chaotic echoes designed to obscure my true signature. I projected these layers outward, a chorus of false Malachis, each one a dead end, a false promise. I was fighting with disinformation and illusion, turning her scientific approach against her, overwhelming her with a cacophony of falsehoods. This was my first move in the duel, and I felt a brief, cold thrill of victory. The duel escalated with a quiet, terrifying sophistication. Alyssin sensed my filter, a shield of manufactured dissonance that did not compute with her perfect logic. She did not respond with a single, more powerful probe. Instead, she responded with a series of rapid, adapting probes, each one testing a different hypothesis about my defenses. I watched on my console as she ran countless simulations against my static defenses, her probes becoming algorithmic, learning with each failed attempt, adapting their frequencies and patterns with a speed that was almost impossible. Her chi signature, a cool, detached presence, was now tinged with a focused impatience. She was not angry. She was simply annoyed that I was not a simple puzzle to be solved. My next move had to be more dynamic. I couldn't just have a static filter. I had to create an active, ever-changing defense. I introduced the concept of temporal decoys, false realities that existed for a fleeting moment, luring her probes into paradoxical traps. I would take a small, localized section of the chi weave and, using the temporal engine, force it into a state of flux, creating a reality that was a subtle mirror of my own. I would then project one of my false signatures into this decoy reality, sending her probes on a wild goose chase. The immense mental strain of maintaining multiple temporal realities at once was a profound weight on my consciousness. It was like juggling 1,000 fragile glass orbs, each one a reality that could shatter at any moment. I had to be everywhere at once, in every reality, in every moment. The core of the duel was not a physical clash, but a profound philosophical one. I spent a significant portion of the narrative detailing the back and forth of the duel, the intellectual sparring that defined our existence. Alyssin would launch a probe, a frequency of perfect truth designed to unravel my lies, a harmonic that sought to force my sanctuary into a state of absolute, unyielding logic. I would respond by creating a dissonant paradox loop, a small contained singularity of chaos that would tear her probe apart. She would then launch a harmonic of inevitability, a frequency that attempted to force my sanctuary into a predictable state, to make me conform to the laws of her universe. I would respond with a reality fracture, a localized tear in the fabric of the core that would deflect her probes into a maelstrom of chaos. This was a chess match of the highest order, a profound intellectual conflict, a silent duel between two brilliant minds and two competing worldviews. Throughout this, my internal monologue was a constant, frantic stream of thought, reflecting on the philosophical nature of our conflict. It was not about winning or losing, but about two competing worldviews. Alyssin's harmony versus my dissonance, order versus chaos, the collective versus the individual. She represented the will of a god who saw all existence as a single, beautiful tapestry. I represented the right of a single thread to be its own unique color, a beautiful discordance in a sea of sameness. She saw me as an imperfection. I saw her as a beautiful but ultimately flawed prison. This philosophical battle was the true heart of the episode, a deep, pervasive conflict that defined every move we made. In a brief moment of profound exhaustion, my mind drifted, as it often did in moments of great peril, to a memory, not a memory of Falky's brilliance, but a memory of his fear. I remembered a conversation we had, a quiet, almost forgotten moment in his laboratory. He was working on a small, insignificant piece of technology, his hands trembling. He spoke of the unintended consequences of temporal manipulation. Malachi, he said, his eyes distant. Time is not a thing to be played with. It is a fundamental law of the universe, and you cannot break it without consequences. You bend it, and it will eventually bend you. Every paradox you create will eventually have its price. His words, a ghost of a memory, now haunted me. He had foreseen this, a flaw not of technology, but of a fundamental law of the universe. The very power I was using to save myself was also a potential weakness, a hidden, ticking time bomb within my sanctuary. The duel reached its climax. Alyssin, no doubt sensing my growing exhaustion, launched her most sophisticated probe yet. It was a beautiful, terrible thing. Her harmonic frequency that shifted and adapted so quickly it was almost a blur. A blade of pure harmony designed to cut through my chaos. It was her final, desperate gambit. I had to stop it. I had to use everything I had. I created a massive, uncontrolled burst of raw chi, a chi nova, pure dissonance. It was an attack of last resort, a Hail Mary. The chi nova ripped through the core's dissonance, a chaotic explosion of pure nothingness. The probe, a momentary flaw in the fabric of the universe, was atomized, gone in a flash of non-existence. I had won, but in that moment of triumph, I felt a familiar, terrible feeling. My chi, stretched to its absolute limit, had overextended. The burst, a chaotic tear in the fabric of the universe, had a profound temporal effect. It had rippled through the planet world, creating a distinct, unmistakable echo of my true signature. It was a signature that could not be masked or filtered. It was a unique, temporal echo that Alyssin could now track. My victory was a profound, terrible loss. I was physically and mentally shattered from the effort. My consciousness screaming with the strain. I had a slight advantage, a psychological victory over Alyssin, but I also knew she had seen the fleeting flaw, the momentary weakness. The Silent Duel had shown me that Alyssin was a foe worthy of my respect, a mind as brilliant and as dangerous as my own. The conflict had just become 1,000 times more dangerous. I was trapped, but I had my sanctuary, and I would defend it at all costs. The core's dissonance was my shield, the temporal engine was my sword, and my defiance was the only law I would obey. The thunderous roar of a god in the making had echoed through the universe, and the silence that followed was the sound of a universe preparing to respond to the challenge I had just issued.